Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Greenius. If you joined us for part 1, you'll remember how Mr. Amarjeet Kudle and his wife turned an old house in the Himalayas into a beautiful homestay full of warmth, soul, and sustainability. Well, get ready, because here in part 2, we go beyond the walls of La Villa Bethany and into what fueled him into making his homestay. So whether you live up in the hills, down by the sea, or in the city, this episode is full of ideas that prove every action, big or small, makes a difference. So let's head back to the mountains and continue the journey. Do our guests surprised by how nice it is to be in full nature when they come from big cities?
Absolutely. We've had guests who come and the only thing they keep commenting about is the fact that the air is so crisp and so pure and so fresh. We encourage our guests that anytime in the day, ideally in the morning or even in the evening, when they're on the upper chakra for a walk, we encourage them to sit in one place and just do some deep breathing in and breathing out exercises. You call that pranayam in yoga, but we encourage our guests to do that. And they really, really appreciate it. We tell our guests, we do it jokingly, but we tell them that you've come to Landor, it's time to detoxify your lungs. Get rid of the city air and fill your lungs with the pure, fresh Himalayan air. But besides that, Bella, the other thing that the guests appreciate when they come to La Villa Bethany and in our commitment to sustainability is that we do a lot of reusing and repurposing of stuff.
Of course,
So a lot of the plastic canisters, plastic cans, the tires, used tires, we have all reused it as planters for plants. Little pots for plants. So that is something that our guests really, really appreciate.
Using things that would otherwise hurt the planet, using them to nature is to nurture it. Is such a good way.
Yes.
It's such a good way to get down, get dirty, have some fun. It's also great for kids to do. If you have a little plastic water bottle, just put some soil in, put a tomato seed in it, and just see it grow. It's amazing.
Yes. True.
Do your guests act differently in nature? Do you see them sort of mellow down, or do they get more excited? How do they feel in such close proximity in nature? Because if they might not get that in big cities that they usually live in.
So as you rightly said, people react in different ways. When they come here. So taking in from what you said, some people mellow down. Some people go into a nice introspective mode. The surrounding nature makes them introspect and ask real questions, saying, "Where are we going? What are we doing with life? What's the purpose of what I'm doing?" And then there are some who are so excited about being there that they are continuously outside. They are going on treks. They are going deep into the jungle. They are spending more and more time just outside, and they come back only late in the evening just for their meals. So we see both sides of the spectrum where individuals respond or react in different ways.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's so nice to see people that, really start seeing themselves when they're in nature, in their natural home, and not in a high-rise building and things like that. Listeners, what you can think about is, how do you act in nature? Does it make you quieter? Does it make you think more? Or is it something that just genuinely excites you? And everybody behaves differently in nature because everybody sort of goes into a part of themselves that isn't really seen before. Or do they just get really excited by it? For you, Mr. Kudle, what do you think when you see nature? How do you feel? How does it make you feel being in trees or seeing birds pass overhead? How does it make you feel?
I think for me, my time with the British Foreign Office, when I was traveling almost 26 days a month from one country to the other, that really helped me clear out my perspective of life and put into priorities what was most important. And for me, as a family, for us, what was most important was to go back to the basics, go back to Mother Nature, live in a small, quaint town in the mountains. And for me, living amongst trees, being in the mountain, looking at the snow-peaked Himalayas, waking up in the morning in this beautiful, bright, crisp sun, that gives me the greatest joy. Bella, we have 12 dogs.
Wow.
12 very, very beautiful
I
dogs.
was
And
lucky enough to meet a couple of them when I came. It was so gorgeous.
yes, yes, and our brood has grown over the years. We've adopted more rescue dogs, and what I do when every given opportunity that I get, I take them for a walk into the jungle. We go
Wow.
for like a 8 kilometer walk into the jungle, and just being there in the midst of the trees with the dogs, doing nothing, not touching your phone, not a lot of times people also do something which I find very hilarious, is that they go for a run in the forest with earphones on.
Yeah.
Okay. Listening to music, that defeats the purpose. You should go and listen to Mother Nature's music, the birds chirping, the trees, the rustling of the leaves when the wind goes through the forest, just the crackling of leaves that are there on the path. That itself is music to the ears. And for me, I think that those moments when I go for my little walk, those are those quiet me times for myself. That's the time when I rejuvenate from inside out. So it's very, very critical and vital. And as I said, I'm absolutely cognizant of the fact that not everybody can live like this. People who are in the cities with responsibilities and obligations, but I count my blessing every single day. And I hope, going forward, that more and more people are able to reprioritize their lives and know what is most important in terms of Mother Nature and planet, and they go back to go to the grassroots and give back to Mother Nature.
Yeah. To all our listeners, when you're listening to this, after this episode's finished, or after a day of school, when you feel really emotional about something, or you have a very strong emotion and you just want to relax, I think sometimes the best way is just going and sitting in nature. Listen to your surroundings. So if you can go outside, maybe after this, just go listen to the sounds around you, whether it's water, or if you're on the beach, listen to the waves crashing on the shore, or if you're on the mountains, listen to the trees and the wind and birds. It's just such a good feeling. Yeah?
Absolutely. That's a very good point, Bella.
Now, in your homestay, let's help our listeners visualize. What does a green day in your homestay look like?
Oh, lovely. So, one of the first things that we do, as I said, is for your bathing needs, for the hot water, it is heated by the sun. That's one. The second is that whenever it's a clear sunny day, we use solar energy for cooking. So one of the greatest experiences that city dwellers have is to see the power of the sun right in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
So we have this lovely solar cooker. It is a concave dish. It's like a satellite dish antenna. And in the center, there is a stand where you can put in your pressure cooker, or you can keep your utensils. So what we do, Bella, is every day we try and cook all gas intensive items, all the items that require a lot of gas. We try and it on solar. I mean, it's not only the children, but even the parents are quite spellbound. Yeah, they're quite mesmerized and spellbound by the power of the sun. What we also do, Bella, is for all the guests that come, we explain to them how rainwater harvesting is done at Lavula. So I do a little 10-minute talk about rainwater harvesting, and I show them how the water is collected by gravity in the tanks, in the first receptacle tanks, and then how we, through the use of a water pump, we pump up the water and store it in different locations throughout and how that water now will be used in the next summer. So the monsoon of 2025, all the water that we are harvesting now will be used in the summer of 2026.
Yeah.
So we do that. The second thing we do, and this is our commitment as a team, is when all the guests, after breakfast, when all the guests leave, we try and switch off all our lights for about 2 hours every day.
Yeah.
So another commitment of ours is that we don't use air conditioning, Bella.
Whoa.
Yeah, we don't have air conditioning. And we just have a few, one or two pedestal fans. If a guest during the summer months really feels hot, we'll give them a fan to be used. But we don't even have fans in our rooms. So what we do is because we're on the south face, we get a lot of breeze. We get a lot of breeze throughout the day. We encourage guests to open their windows and then sit in the shade. We have a lovely new addition from the last. I think you've seen it from your last visit. Is that we have a nice gazebo now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Beautiful gazebo where guests now sit and spend time reading. So that's something that we love doing. Yeah, that's it's like, if you remember on Earth Day, they encourage you to switch off the lights for an hour.
My entire house, we went black for like 3 hours there.
So on Earth Day, we do that. But over here, what we do is we try and do it on a daily basis.
Every day is Earth Day for you.
Yeah.
It just helps. It's sort of a win-win scenario in every way.
Absolutely.
Now, you said in the beginning that you don't use any plastic bottles in your homestay. If you could replace one thing in every home all around the world to make the world a greener place, what would that be?
I think, to be very honest with you, we try and minimize our use of plastic. We try and do that.
Yeah.
But you can't totally minimize it in the sense that, if you're buying a 5-liter can of oil.
Yeah, of course.
It comes in a plastic can. But what we do is we reuse it. We make it into planters for our place.
Yeah.
The question that you've asked, it's very deep rooted. For me, I think if we can just recycle the plastic.
Of course, yeah.
But every house, if they can just recycle.
Yeah, start recycling. I agree.
And the other thing is that in the cities now, a lot of countries have gone very, very aware of all of this. You have little collection points throughout the city where they collect plastic. Yes.
Yeah.
So if every house, every child can collect their own little plastic, keep it with them, and once a week go to the plastic collection center or give it over there for recycling, we will be creating a huge impact towards our sustainability efforts.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And people will start putting me out of a job.
No, I think your job will become even more important, Bella, to spearhead this movement, and that's something which is brilliant.
Thank you so much. Now, we all love stories. Everybody loves stories. And we like hearing things about people that have done things right. And you are definitely one of those people because you've gone and done so much. So would you like to tell us a story about one time you saw nature actually give back to you for something that you did right?
Oh, that's brilliant. Let me think about this. I think, yes, one of the things that's happened, and we've seen this, is with all our, reforestation activities, Bella.
Yeah.
What we've seen during springtime is at La Villa Bethany, we have more butterflies, more birds coming in, more butterflies are visiting us now. So this is something that we are so super happy about.
Yeah.
It's just nature's way of thanking back. The other thing that I feel, so nature not only gives in tangent benefits, but also intangible benefits. The tangible benefits is where we see, more butterflies coming in, more bugs coming in. You get to see a lot of creepy crawlies. So we see a lot of these rhino beetles, big buggers. They're huge. We see a lot of dung beetles coming in. So the important thing is that, if you can quieten yourself down and look around, you will see Mother Nature in full flow. But the intangible benefit, Bella, is that a lot of people say that we've experienced the most profound sleep in the recent years.
Wow.
We've slept like little babies. I've never had, such a deep sleep that's come in, and then that's something that really kind of warms our heart. Yeah. So these are some of beautiful stories of Mother Nature giving back.
Yeah. A lot of people sleep with things like white noise on, and if you're in a big city, you hear like sirens. But when you go into nature, it's silent.
So Bella, you just mentioned about white noise. Just to give you a little funny story, we've had guests who've come and said that, look, I couldn't sleep yesterday because it was too quiet. People who are from the city saying that it was eerily quiet. It was literally spooky. So can you give me something that will make some noise in the room? So we had to and reluctantly buy a few pedestal fans. So when
Yeah.
somebody, we put a little fan in the room so that the fan keeps running and they
Making
get
some sounds, yeah. Yeah. Now, if you could put one rule outside every hotel in the world to make them a bit more eco-friendly, what would that say?
I think that would be, to encourage guests who live in big hotels to insist that they don't change their room linen, bath linen every day.
Yeah, every day. A lot of hotels have started putting cards that
Yes.
you put in your bed sheets. And if
Yes.
you go traveling, to our listeners, start looking out for those a bit more, because sometimes they can be overlooked, overshaded. It's just a bit of card, a bit of paper. No one really sees it. But if you actually take the time to read it, and I always do, and just place it on your bed, it makes such a big difference to, everyone. This isn't a point of hygiene at this point. It's a point of actually not wasting water, because the amount of water and resources and even the sheer chemicals that go into washing all these bed linens and your towels, it's just crazy. That washes into the sea, and that makes a difference, and it's just a waste on every frontier. So if people can just start thinking about that a bit more, it would make a very big difference. I agree. That's a very good point.
Because when you do that, it has a snowballing effect. It perfects a thing. So you don't use washing powders, you don't use chemicals. It has a ripple effect where everything gets saved.
Yeah.
Stuff
and
like
then,
that.
If you're living in a cold country, then you need to obviously tumble dry that. And tumble dryers, not many people know it, but in the homes, I read up on this, and the top 3 wastes of electricity, the second one on the list is a tumble dryer. Yeah. It just uses so much force to wring the water out of it that, if you're even just starting to sun dry things like your clothes, instead of dumping them in a tumble dryer and having it dry in 10 minutes, if you sun dry it for about an hour, it just makes such a big difference. Using the world around you to help the world around you.
Yeah, true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the bungalow you took over was 106 years old at the time. Wow.
Right.
And to renovate that must have been quite a feat. And I can imagine that there would have been parts that needed a lot more manpower and possibly chemicals and things like that. Did you put any rules in place to make it a bit more environmentally friendly?
Right, Bella. So one of the first things we did, because this was a heritage place, we have reused every single window pane, every single door.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. We did not throw away anything. We repurposed, we reused everything. The other thing that was very clear, the clear mandate in my mind when we started the restoration of the place was every piece of debris that came out while we were restoring the place, we did throw it down the slope. The tendency in the mountain, the tendency in the Himalaya is that you find a no man's land and you try and dump your debris there.
In the no man's land, exactly. And then that just leads to a natural landfill right there.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And the no man's land is basically, there is a local word in Hindi called the khud. The 2 counters of the mountain come and meet. It creates a little kind of a valley thing. And that's the man's land, and people usually dump stuff over there. One of the first things I told my contractor was that you will not do anything like that. So what we've done with the debris that was created, we made a base for the veranda that runs along the length of the house. So all the debris that came in from the at the time when we were refurbishing and we were renovating the place, we used that debris as a foundation. So we've kind of made a 2.5 feet veranda. So that debris was used to make that veranda.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's just another level of recycling. You obviously took your project to a much bigger extent, but do you think that kids can do small things like restoring an old jewelry box instead of just throwing it away? Do you think it's a doable task?
Absolutely. And I think youngsters, because you are the ones who are going to take this entire momentum forward. The future of the world rests on, young, tender shoulders. And if they are aware of their role, you can impact the environment in such a big way. I think the time has come, though we have the resources, we are the privileged ones where we can easily go and replace things in our house by buying bigger and better things. If we can, as you rightly said, if we can restore little boxes, repair them, try and reuse
Yeah.
it, that will create such a huge impact, Bella.
Yeah. And another thing is, if you have a pair of shoes and it might be the most beautiful pair of shoes, it's so amazingly kept, but your feet don't fit in it anymore, then a lot of people, their natural tendency is just to throw it out. But in my family, we actually, in our attic under the stairs, we have a massive Amazon carton, and it's filled with old shoes of mine that will eventually start fitting my sister.
Right.
And it's not a thing that, it's like a hand-me-down. We're actually able to preserve it by just keeping it properly.
Yep.
Then it makes a bigger difference than, buying a new pair of shoes for, every generation that comes.
Right. And this is so important what you've just said, Bella. There is no shame in wearing hand-me-downs.
Yeah, of course. You're doing your part for the planet.
It is a very important, a very sustainable practice that needs to be adhered by families everywhere. And just to give you an idea, Bella, Shrishti always had hand-me-downs. I have a colleague of mine who would give her daughter's clothes for Shrishti, and Shrishti would wear them happily. And you'll be happy to know so when they became ill-fitting for Shrishti, those were then were given down to my staff's children, and you will not believe it.
Yeah, wow.
One jacket or one pair of jeans, 5 children have worn.
Wow.
That's the level of hand-me-down that has happened. It's gone down to 5 levels. Something that is going to be a huge factor in sustainability for the environment.
Yeah.
People, there's a tendency of people changing wardrobes every month or every 2 months.
Yeah.
Discard everything. They just throw everything without giving a second thought of how it's going to impact the environment. But this is something very important. Absolutely.
Yeah. The textiles.
Thank you for raising.
Yeah. So as a cherry on top to a beautiful, beautiful episode, what's one small challenge for our listeners, like a kid's eco quest that they can do today after listening to this episode?
Well, one of the nicest things that's come about in the world of sustainability is that there's this concept called eco bricks. Have you heard of it? I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Yeah. So kids can do that, where they can kind of collect their refuse. They can collect their garbage and kind of keep putting it in bottles so that they can fill in more and more, make it real impact. And then they can use these bottles to make little planters or little ottomans or benches, or it could be part of a decorative wall. So this is something that young children can do, is they can build their own little eco bricks, and they can collect it and then bring it to one common place where they can then make a big project.
Yeah.
So like, for example, there are a lot of villages in India, particularly in Tamil Nadu, where they're using waste plastic bottles that are coming from your soft drinks, your cola bottles and stuff like that. They're filling these bottles with sand, and then they're using these bottles as bricks for making homes.
Wow.
And these homes are, they're very, very energy efficient homes. So in the summer they are cool inside, in the winter they are warm inside.
Yeah. Thank you for that idea. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the Greenius today. Thank you for being here and helping inspire so many more young minds, I bet, when they listen to this podcast. And hopefully you've inspired some people to go make their eco bricks, go spend some more time in nature, and head out to the mountains, and hopefully see you in Level Bethany.
Bella, I'm so honored for this opportunity. Thank you for considering me to come on your podcast. It is such a pleasure to see you and Sophia grow so well. It's absolute. You guys are an absolute blessing. So I wish you continued success, sweetheart. God bless you abundantly as you keep doing this, and I, as you're the sustainability ambassador for your school. More power to you, and may your breed grow. May your tribe grow. We need, and looking at you, I just have this great sense of optimism that the future of this world is in good hands. So thank you for the opportunity, Bella, and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
And that brings us to the end of part 2 of this very special conversation with Mr. Amarjeet Kudle. A man who didn't just build a home in the mountains, but created a whole way of living that's kinder, gentler, and more thoughtful to the planet. Over these 2 episodes, we've learned how every single step, like choosing to leave behind the bustling noise of the city, led to something beautiful. A home powered by sunshine, filled with the smell of fresh food and mountain air, where nature and people are respected equally. We've learned how sustainability isn't just about solar panels and rainwater tanks. It's about values, about taking care of what we have, giving more than we take, and using our time, our space, and our hearts to create an impact. And here's the best part. We can start that journey too. Maybe it's just growing a few herbs on your balcony, or remembering to carry a reusable water bottle, or being mindful about how we treat our neighbors, our community, and even the people who collect our garbage and sweep our streets. Mr. Kudle reminds us that a home with a heart is one that lives in harmony with the world around it, and we don't need to wait to be grown-ups to build that kind of home. We can start right now, one small action at a time. So to all our listeners, thank you for being part of this mountain-sized journey with us. I hope it's made you pause, wonder, and dream a little greener. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep planting those seeds of change. Catch you on the green side!